If you're watching this video, it's highly likely that you may not know about Google NotebookLM and looking to catch up with others who already do. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of NotebookLM and how you can use it, including things like pricing and 3 use cases, which is going to help you get started. So over here is NotebookLM, and all you need to access this is a Google account. Now think of NotebookLM as sort of like your research partner. It uses Google's AI, Gemini, to help you produce a range of different things. Flashcards for studying, mind maps for research, reports, videos, and even creates a podcast as well. But there's even a whole host of features you might not know about. Before we begin, it's important to note there are a few pricing plans to know about. The free plan is great for personal projects, which is likely what you'll be using it for. But if you start using it more often, you may need to know about these. There's NotebookLM in Plus, Pro, and Ultra, and all of them come with 2x to 50x the usage limits. In order to get access to these, you need to look at your Google One plans. All of these have different pricing and availability, so do check them out in the link in the description. So you can use NotebookLM on web, but you can also use it on iOS and Android. Check those links out below too. Okay, so here's my NotebookLM, and you can see here that I've got a range of different notebooks, and I'm going to show you the first example, which is planning a family holiday. So I've got kids and I want to plan a family holiday. So you may want Google NotebookLM to help you plan that holiday. Think of the notebook as almost like an isolated area where you can help plan. It's almost like a chat window that has more context than other chat windows might have. So here, I've gone ahead and used this feature where it's called Search Web for New Resources. And I've typed in the best recommended resources for traveling with kids, as well as locations that best suit traveling with kids. So as you can see here, it's created this chat window. Now this chat window here is where you can start using to have natural language conversations about it. So for example, you could say, how do you plan a sensory friendly family holiday, or top tips for flying with babies? But over here, this studio bit is probably where the most power comes in. So in this case, I can go ahead and create an audio overview, which you may have seen, which is the podcast feature. I can create a slide deck, a video overview, and mind map. But in this case, some of those features might not actually be valuable to how I'm using this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create something called a data table. I've added the prompt of pros and cons of each location they've recommended from the sources and travel destinations from Devon in the UK. This is perfect because I can see the country, the destination, what pros they have for kids, and I can really break down it in a much more tangible way based on all of the sources I produced. So if you want to add any sources, you can add as many as you like up to the limit you have. So I believe in the personal plan it's 50, but in my case it's 300 because I've got a Google business plan. You can add YouTube videos, which you might find, PDFs, or even import from your Google Drive too. Before we begin, if you want to save on software like AI tools, then go over to toolfinder.com. You'll find it. It's the best place to find savings in one location. So check it out, especially for AI tools. So the data table was really helpful. I've also gone ahead and created a mind map. Now the mind map is a breakdown of all of the things I could do on the holiday. For example, in this case, if I was going destination wise, it's going to help break down the recommended locations for traveling with kids. So for example, in this case, I could also get sensory friendly travel advice about creating visual schedules, and it's automatically going to open the chat window up, review the content, look at the sources provided, and then help me communicate around that particular topic. So the mind map is quite helpful. The data table, again, is helpful. It depends on the prompts that you add, but there's also something as well called a slide deck. Now I really like this feature because if I want to pitch this to my wife, I could go ahead and describe the slide deck that I want here and be able to produce it instantly to showcase in that example. Now while that's generating, I'm going to show you this share feature. This is really helpful when you're inviting other people to your notebook. Now why is that helpful? Well, I could share this with my wife, or I could share this with anyone like a nanny, whatever. It is just really helpful to have collaborative individuals in on this that can use all of the studio to produce information that might be valuable to them. Now, one thing you can do is whenever you want to save anything as a note, a source of truth inside of your Google NotebookLM, you can press Save Note, and it's going to automatically add it to this area here. You can also add additional notes which help to provide us context as you build them on. So as another example, I'm getting ready for a job application, and maybe I want to have the best interview prep that I have ever had in my life. So I've gone ahead and produced a deep research report, not the fast research report, an in-depth report with results from the web about the best advanced interview strategies, and it brings in over 68 sources. So you won't be able to access this in the basic plan, you will be able to access this in the next bigger plan. So it's going to bring in all of the insights from top companies, insights that McKinsey have produced. So in this case, I'm going to go over to Studio and create a audio overview. Now the audio overview can be tweaked, so I can choose to a deep dive, which is with 2 hosts, or I can have something brief, or I can create a debate. Now this could be quite helpful because I could add in the context here about, for example, I'm applying for X role and I want you to debate the best way to approach a certain question, if that's something that you're struggling with right now. For an additional example, you may want to be learning something very specific, like a new language or a new skill. Well, you can go ahead and search the web for the best sources on a particular topic. In this case, it's the basics of investing. So in this case, I'm actually brought that in through the deep research search, and I can add any additional sources to it. But in this case, this is where the flashcards might be helpful. So for example, I can go ahead and create flashcards testing me on some general knowledge. I can also use a video overview. For example, I could choose a cinematic one that if I'm a more visual learner, that might work better for me. But in this case, I'm going to go with an explainer, and I'm going to go ahead and choose some of the basic styles. Now I may be somebody that learns best with, I don't know, a heritage example, and I'm going to go ahead and generate that overview in the background.
Sitting in a bank account, it's not really pulling its weight. Investing is how we change that. It's how we put our money to work for us 24/7. And that really gets us to our first big topic, understanding the why. You know, before we even touch on the how-to, you've got to understand the
Think of NotebookLM as an assistant that is contextually valuable when you add what's most suited for it as you go along. You can use this not only for work, but also for study and for personal planning as well. So hopefully that gave you all that you need, and do check out toolfinder.com to explore more tools and resources as well as discounts and savings. Thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in a future video. Cheerio for now.